Presentation will be on social relations, which were the readings for week 6. I am Joseph Durrani that will be presenting this information for you. So here's just an introduction that humans need to feel they belong in society. So people are motivated to obtain an optimal balance of social contact. They are obsessed with friendships, romantic relationships, love, marriage, divorce. So affiliation, attraction, and equity help show and explain how relationships are formed and maintained. So this will be the gist of the readings this week. I will be summarizing affiliation, equity theory, triangular theory of love, altruism, and attraction. These all help play a vital role in relationships, maintaining them, building them, and whatnot. Humans are social creatures, and this is a necessary step to create relationships with other people. So the need for affiliation is the desire to establish and maintain many rewarding interpersonal relationships. Affiliation needs differ from individuals just like everything else. So I may want or need 3 people in my life for me to feel happy, but my brother may need only one really good friend to understand him and for him to be happy. People are definitely motivated to achieve the optimal level of the social contact, so affiliation is a key step in obtaining this. And if this need is not met, it will lead to loneliness. And if there is a prolong of loneliness, it will cause some problems, like physical and mental problems, towards the person. And we know a lot of people who feel too lonely tend to turn to drinking and drugs, but there are other ways that you can help yourself out of loneliness, which will be covered later in this presentation. So attraction has a big role in playing with forming relationships. People are attracted to certain things more than others, so physical attraction also has an effect on specific rewards and outcomes. Usually, if you are more physically attractive, you get greater rewards and outcomes throughout life. Studies have shown when people are perceived as more attractive, their benefits are greater. For example, judges have been known to lower bail or fines for better looking people, and also teachers have shown that if a student is better looking, they perceive that they are smarter than others. There are also hindering effects on physical attraction. One is what is beautiful is good stereotype, and that is the belief that physically attractive people have more desired qualities. We all know that's not true. Attraction also helps people form relationships and find love. For example, the matching hypothesis is when people are attracted to others with similar attractiveness. So once relationships are formed, love plays a huge role in these relationships. It helps people stay happy and make the relationship better. So there are 3 basic components of love. It's passion, intimacy, and commitment. And as you can see on the diagram to the right, it forms little sub types of love. So intimacy and passion for romantic love, passion and empty love creates fatuous love, and intimacy and commitment create compassionate love. So then there are two other kinds of love that are created from this, and one is which is the sinner, which is all three main types of love, and that's consummate love. So I would explain this as the optimal love that can be created, probably the greatest love. But then at the very bottom, there is the absence of love, that is non-love, and that probably can relate to people feeling loneliness. So everything ties in between affiliation, love, and attractiveness to this point. Another key opponent of keeping relationships healthy and also forming relationships is altruism. So this is the motivated desire to improve another's welfare, and then this is being compared to egoistic, which is to improve your own. So empathy is a huge characteristic in altruism that can help you succeed at this behavior. So to the right, you have the empathy altruism theory, and it argues that altruism doesn't exist without empathy. Empathy is the understanding of an experience of another's perspective and having sympathy on the experience. Usually this experience is bad. So as you can see in the diagram, the perception that someone needs help. So if you adopt that the other person's perspective and you see what's going on, it goes over to the concern of it, which is the emotional response. And then that leads to the altruistic behavior. And then that should lead to the reduction of the stress of the individual, compared to if you don't see the perception, which will lead you to the no category, and that leads to the emotional response. You're personally distressed and you're egoistic, so then you're only concerned about your own health, and then you try to solve that by helping yourself. So we can see how helping others can help form relationships. And besides that, it's good to help others. There's also the health benefit of it for you and your. Another great theory to help maintain relationships is the equity theory. This theory states that most people are satisfied with a relationship when ratios between benefits and contribution is similar for both partners. This theory stems from economics, so it wants you to maximize the benefits with the lowest amount of cost. If one person contributes more than they are considered, this is considered over-benefited, and then the opposite would be considered the under-benefited. And when these two relate, it causes inequity. So this wouldn't be good for a relationship. This causes problems. There are four main positions of equity theory. There's the maximizing of rewards and costs. There is the idea of the group as one. So the group tries to create equity between everybody. Then there is the distress of equity, which leads to inequity. So the more distress there is, it leads to even more equity. And then finally, you have to eliminate the distress by fixing equity. So this will cause the relationship to be good again, to be happy. And the social exchange theory relates to this. It's basically the same concept as maximizing benefits with minimizing the cost of the relationship. So the two studies we covered this week were by Mark R. Lerny and Company and David G. Rand. The Lerny study tested the strengths of people's emotional reactions to undesired events, and it wanted to try to predict that the judgment of the event's outcomes and degree to which they perceived that other violated social norms and rules. They predicted that the perceived violations of exchange rules are associated with strong reactions that is beyond the effect of tangible outcomes and events. So there were 179 participants in total that recalled a time when someone did something that upsetted them. Then they rated the experience on the person's behavior, on negative, tangible outcomes, social exchange rules, and emotions. They also tested different relationships, such as friends, family, and romantic relationships. The results showed that the strong emotional reactions to the behavior of people are fueled by people's perceptions that the offering behavior involves a violation of fundamental rules that guide interactions and relationships. There were no difference between the relationships. Now, the RAND study was a meta-analysis with 22 studies in it. They wanted to study altruism with social roles. They found that promoting intuition relative to deliberation increased giving in the dictator game among women but not men. So the game they used, which was the dictator game, women tended to give more than men. Now the second study was across gender and social norms and proposed against altruism. The study found that when women described themselves with a masculine attribution compared to a woman attribute, they were more deliberate and it reduced altruism. So, in summary, we covered affiliation, equity theory, triangle theory of love, altruism, attraction, and the two articles. All of these play a vital role in forming a relationship and maintaining a healthy, satisfying relationship. So, the two questions I have for you are: the Bible says, "Therefore what God has joined together let no one separate." Mark 10:9. So if equity theory and social exchange theory was taught in a Christian marriage counseling or preparation class, do you think this theory could lower the divorce rate in marriages? Why or why not? And the second question is, prolonged loneliness can cause a list of mental and physical health problems. How can having empathy and altruistic behavior help someone out of the state of loneliness? Thank you for listening to this presentation and your time. Have a good rest of the week.